All right. Bet. Let me get over to here. Let me mute that. Let me let everybody pack in there while I share this out. I don't know why I even put that in my pocket. That was stupid. What up, Scott? Share it out. A lot of times I don't go live, right? But happy Friday. Now, you know, I was just live on Frontline Gaming Streams where we play games every day. Unless I'm doing some NDA stuff. Sharing it out to everybody. That's Instagram, everything. The whole kit and caboodle. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. What's good? What's good? What's good? I want everybody to share it out. Share it out to your favorite platform. You know, somebody hit me up, was like, yo, you need to start streaming on Kick. I'm like, okay. Yeah, fight night is over, B-Loop. You know fight night is over at 8 o'clock. You know 8:30 my video's supposed to drop, but my video ain't dropped today because I have to go live, because tomorrow, if nobody knows, Iron Lords is going to be doing 8 to 10 hour stream of playing games with the community. So we're going to, you know, Lords are going to be playing games with each other. The community going to join in. But the thing is, blessings, Scott. That's what's up. I appreciate you. The thing is, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I've been telling people for a minute what was going to happen, and dudes is like, King, I was capping, and dudes was calling me liars. Yo, it's so crazy that they got their whole fan base on some old slanderous joint. I'm like, damn, B. I don't even take the time out to think about you. I don't think another man should think about another man at any time of the day. I mean, unless they're your kids, right? Or, you know, or your comrades, right? Other than that, randomly thinking about men that you don't know is strange things to me. And these dudes is weirdos. Actually, one dude had posted something today. Oh, Fia Marie, my lady, blessings. Haven't seen you in a minute, and I'm so happy that you're here. Sorry I'm late. I rolled on my PlayStation 5 project. Yo, that's crazy. Yo, we're gonna talk that ish. We're gonna get to it, because we're gonna talk about Black Myth. If y'all have seen on Frontline Gaming Stream, I've been playing Black Myth. Now y'all know that I already had it on my Steam. I got it for Steam because I was playing on, because we got the AMD builds. Shout out to NZXT. And I had stopped playing it because I said I'll wait for the Xbox version. And at one time I was about to give in and buy it on my PlayStation, and I was just like, nah, I'll wait. Because that game speaks to me. Like, you know, Iron Lords, we come from all of that karate movies and all that other stuff. What up, Lycos? What up, Arkham West? What up, team? Team Green. Yo, one dude hit me and said, Unc, I know you are not still console warring, making console warring content. maybe. I told you the PlayStation 5 was an unstable box when I first saw it. And I wasn't using just I just don't talk for nothing, right? Mark Cerny told you it was an unstable box. Mark Cerny told you that wherever it's needed, if it needs power, if it needs more compute, it will draw from that and it's able to juggle. Y'all don't remember that? I remember that. If you don't remember that, please go back and watch the initial stuff. I got a video coming out and it's called Unstable Box. But that, see, when they make their consoles, there's going to be certain give and takes that you got to do. You got to do it, right? And these give and takes, they held back on. They went with a slower CPU in order to compete. And they thought that they through bus, being it was a bigger through bus and it was a faster SSD. It was a revolutionary SSD at the time. But us being ignorant, not knowing that SSD absolutely meant nothing, and a standard SSD would have been useful. We were bamboozled. We was fooled. We was thought that stuff with the machine was going to be able to be crazy. We thought this, right? But that wasn't to be. Right? Now, very early on, a lot of the games was doing good performance, great performance. And I attribute that to a lot of those games being last gen. Now, we do know Unreal Engine 5 is a beast. It's a resource beast. Oh, shout out to Spartan661 gifting 5 Xbox Frontline memberships. If you just became a member, there's content in the background for members. And if you notice, especially during the cons and special shows and stuff like that, I'm dropping videos for you guys early. Members get the videos at least 2 hours early before everybody else. And this coming weekend, the Labor Day weekend, I'm going to drop 7 videos. Those 7 videos will be probably like 15 minutes each or whatever, but they're going to drop per tier. Like if you're X, you're going to be able to have access to that automatically off the rip. Then if you're V, you'll be able to get access to that video the next day. And if you're S, you're going to be able to get it after V gets it, right? So, tier system. But I'm going to drop those videos there because this weekend I'm not going to be making any content at all. But that's going to be there. It's going to be enough videos for everyone to get some stuff. And I'm going to drop some knowledge. Like I've been doing. Like I've been saying. I would read that, but you didn't put it in a super chat format, so talks amongst yourself. Obviously, you don't want to be hurt. And at the portion of the show where I do the Discord, you're able to jump into the Discord and talk. For you know what it is to like for another man to call another man a liar, and I don't know if you're a man or a woman. Or I could be misgendering you, and I do apologize if I've misgendered you. I shouldn't assume by your name that you are male or female, and I apologize if I have called you out as a different gender. So I apologize. I don't know what you identify as, but back in the olden days, when another man calls another man a liar, they would have to duel. Because, see, when a man steps into the world, he has his nuts and his word, and you don't break them for no one. So if an individual calls you a liar, and especially if they don't have any facts to back it up, well, then those individuals have to duel. So you growing up in a world of softness, where your words carry no weight and there's no repercussions for your actions, I can understand why that would frivolously come out of your mouth. I can understand. But again, I don't know what you identify as, and I apologize if I misgendered you, because the behavior that you are exhibiting is feminine behavior. So, again, I do apologize if I misgendered you. And I won't do it again, because I think that you're supposed to be represented any way you identify, right? Again, I apologize. But again, that behavior is not becoming of a young man. And if you're a mature man, then I question who raised you. I question who you look up to. I question who your big homie is. But to hell with that. I sat there and I had to watch people try to cover up the fact that Black Myth ran better on the Xbox. Now, you know these dudes are going to say stuff like, well, it took a year for it to get to that state, and and I'm going to say, really though? Really though? It was money had it. Let's be real. Like, to the date. Like, when I went to, listen, and I'm be honest with you, because I got verification to this, and I'm pretty sure that Sarah Bond have questioned about it, and who am I, right? Shout out to Scott Woodford with the $2 super chat. He identifies as a Cowboy fan. Laugh out loud. No PlayStation 6. Hashtag no PlayStation 6. You know what it is. We're going to run it up on these bumps. The same way people can make content about other people, I'm going to continue to make content about plastic. And I'm going to continue to make content about Kong. Say hi to Diddy Kong. He's here. Speaking of that, this Sunday, I'll be wearing this costume. Yo. I'll be wearing this costume this Sunday on Iron Lords. Yeah. Cog did that. And I'm supposed to eat a banana every time with a new topic. Yeah, he did that. Oh, there's divine retribution coming Cog's way. Trust me when I tell you this. It's divine retribution. Even though he got to dress up as Rock Lee, it's divine retribution. I know you find it funny, bro. I know you find it funny. It's absolutely sickening that I got to put that whole gorilla suit on. But it's full of cars, and I'm okay with it. But all right, so when I spoke to Sarah Bond, and I talked to her directly, and it was immediately after the show, and I know for anybody that's new, maybe you don't know the story. And I asked her, yo, what's up with Black Myth? Now, the reason why I cared about it is because we've been seeing game science for years, and we've been seeing this game, and we saw it when it went from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. And we saw the walking through the snow, and we saw all of that stuff, and Son Goku is the best, man. Like, so we understood that we wanted that game. We basically saw the game grow up. So when we saw that the Summer Games Fest, and at the end, it was only for PlayStation. And up until then, it was for both. I was like, yo, what the deal, old Mill? Like, what's going on? For real. So when it got there, I'm not saying I pressed her or nothing, but I'm like, and this, be honest with you, this was my first time meeting her face to face. Normally we'll talk on Twitter or whatever, and this is before the whole day migrated over to Blue Sky, right? So we would talk that way, and then met her face to face, and everything is dope. And around that time, Phil was around the corner. He was with Matt Booty, but I was doing another interview. And then by the time I came around and I was talking to Jason Ronald, me and Jason Ronald was having a conversation about something, because me and Jason Ronald was cool. Where I would consider him a friend. Anytime you break bread with somebody, as far as eating and stuff, I consider Jason Ronald a friend. Do we call each other on the phone and talk like that? No. But when we're in town, we talk and we eat or whatever. So I consider Jason Ronald a friend. I think Jason Ronald is a wonderful person. Same thing with Aaron Greenberg. I consider Aaron Greenberg a friend. All right. So with those caveats out of the way, I'm talking to Jason, and Sarah comes over to the side. So I'm like, oh, snap, take a picture. Cool. Take a picture with her. Then I'm like, now we got to get to the business. What's up with Black Myth? And I said, is it the Series S? Is it Little Man? I ain't say is it the Series S. I said, is it Little Man? They know, they watch. No, it's not Little Man. Okay. So that's all I needed to know there. Then Phil was, and I don't know who asked him this. I asked him this separately later, but I don't know who asked him, and I'm sure he was on record with it. Do you have a date for when it's coming out? And was it Money Had It? And he said, we don't talk about businesses of our partners. And that's around the time he talked about the sliminess of the business. Okay, cool. So the game comes out, and the game is running phenomenal. The game on the Series S is running phenomenal. I'm playing it upstairs. It's running phenomenal because I got the Series S upstairs in the living room and in the bedroom. And my son has one in his room here and one inside my grandson's room. And then I got the Series X here and a Series X here and another Series X inside the other media room. But I played it. It's running phenomenal. So I'm like, what you said, Fee? Cog should be Timmy from South Park, and he has to yell Timmy every time there's a super. That would be insane. That would be insane if we all got to play South Park characters. But remember, we only got a couple of weeks left until we go to Japan, right? And in those couple of weeks, we're trying to do stuff that is completely gaming centric and anime centric. And I am talking to some of our partners, so that will be funny. That will be funny. But I'm like, yo, this game looks dope. This game is running great. Speaking of not running so great, right? Speaking of not running so great, did anybody see this? The first footage of Elden Ring running on the Switch 2 appears online. Now, who has this? Xbox, Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 gameplay at a fan expo. And, so early this week, they were lucky enough to head to the Nintendo booth at Gamescom and get hands-on with Elden Ring Tarnished on the Switch 2. Bandai Namco didn't allow any footage to be recorded from our handheld session, so we quickly saw why. But it seems like such recording rules are not in place at the Canada Fest, which kicked off yesterday and was allowing over-the-shoulder recording of dock demos. Now, this is a dock demo of Elden Ring. And I want to know why everybody thought that this thing, shout out to GOAT Gaming with the $2 super chat, the PlayStation we know and love is gone forever. I got an article on that, what you just put. That's so apropos. I have an article about that, and we're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to talk about that specifically in a second. But, all right, let me bring that down here, right? Matter of fact, let me mute it. All right, so as you can see, this is the Switch's version of it, and it's docked. And let's get to it when they go outside, because they said this is when the problems happen when they reach outside, right? As soon as they open the doors. And this is the doors. Now, the frame rate doesn't look great. I don't know. I've never remembered that much fog in that area. I don't know. I don't remember. DLSS will not save it. I don't think it would. But it looks like it's running in mud. And Fatanga said something that made me almost pee on myself. He's hilarious. I like Fatanga. He said that it's the tarnished edition. It's the absolute tarnished edition. So if it's running this piss poor here, right? Could you imagine it in handheld mode? Because it's running. You can't see? Let me give you the full. There you go. All right, so I'll move myself out of the way so you can see it. Now, I didn't buy my Switch for third-party games. I actually brought my Switch for first-party games. And first-party games on the Switch actually run great. If you actually saw Kirby Air Ride, that looked fantastic, right? That's what I brought my Switch for. I brought my Switch 2 just for that. But looking at this and looking at the pop-up and looking how slow it looks, and Elden Ring is still a cross-gen game. This is true. But man, I want to get to the when it gets to the world. Did he get outside the world here? No, let's go here. All right, this is when he dies. All right, here, this is when he opens the door to the world. Now, I don't know how they got Cyberpunk to run on that. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. But everybody's, making the excuse that the caveat for this, and here's where it's supposed to die out, right? It's supposed to die out here. It doesn't look that bad if this is your only way to access Elden Ring. But if it's a Souls-like game and timing is your key, this thing leaves a lot to be desired, right? But not to be undone by performance issues. A little birdie told me something that I know to be true. A little birdie told me something. And you know about who. A little birdie told me something about that PlayStation 5 Pro. And a little birdie told me something I needed to know. Now, it wasn't that good. And I told dudes, I knew exactly what I purchased, and I knew when I got it what it was, and I knew I purchased it for minor increments of upgraded specs. Minor. 10%. Right? That's what I was looking for. I was looking for it to balance out what I initially had. Man. Sucks so bad that this thing, you might be better off playing Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake on a base PlayStation than a PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, Digital Foundry came out and it definitely told us that in some cases, because of the resolution settings and how it was set up with, you had a toggle on the base PlayStation 5. Right? You had the graphics and you had performance, like we've become accustomed to. But for some reason, some games on the PlayStation 5 Pro doesn't have this toggle. Doesn't have a performance and doesn't have a balance and doesn't have a graphical setting. Sometimes they just give you it with a pro setting, and it's just the pro setting, and that's what you got. And that's the problem here. And it's sad that they didn't release it with a patch, right? Now, the game isn't officially out from my estimations, and I believe it comes out on the what is it, the 25th? Is it the 25th that it comes out officially? Oh, no, the 28th. It comes out the 28th officially. So we could have a day one patch, right? So if we do get a day one patch on this, and listen, I'm an owner of a PlayStation 5 Pro. I advocate for a PlayStation 5 Pro over a base, and this is not making my advocation for that device sound right now, right? It makes me look foolish to even say that that thing is a viable option when it comes to picking out of the PlayStation tree of systems. I think they did themselves a disservice without having that patch available to the reviewers. Digital Foundry said that when that thing hit water, and see, and the reason why it's concerning to me, because I was getting the PlayStation 5 version of this game for the monkey mode. If anybody knows me, you know I got an affinity for monkeys. I love anything that has monkeys, any game. You see that new hero shooter game, it has a monkey in a spacesuit, bro. I'm playing that game. You can throw banana bombs. I don't give a damn. I'm outside with it. And it's whatever. But you have that little creep sneak mode with the monkeys from Ape Escape, and that's the only way I can get a modern version of Ape Escape. So, what up, Be Nice? Blessings. What up, Demi Good? Dem Good? What's good? One Pump Man, that's crazy work right there. That name is crazy work. Spot 661. Do you think that they're getting Sony checks? No. Digital Foundry is independent right now. Let's be real. IGN going to AI and using AI, I think they felt that they didn't need Digital Foundry anymore to push to views, because the console war, they know it is dead. The console war as we see it is completely dead. I have that as a topic as well. It's no longer the same. And I see a lot of grifters doing grifting things, like trying to appeal to both fan bases very quick and very early, right? I saw the transition very early. Now, when I became a platform warrior, when I told dudes before that Game Pass was the platform, and I already knew the plans that Xbox was making sure that Game Pass was where everything was, and they were taking that and they were placing it in places and making that brand stronger. The Xbox brand will always live on. When dudes told me, yo, King, you need to change the title to your joint because Xbox is going full third party and they're not going to be viable any longer, and soon they're going to get out of hardware. I knew they weren't getting out of hardware. I knew the fact that they had to use hardware for the server blades kept them into the hardware business. But I also understood that because we go to these shows, right? We go to closed door events. We go to NDA events with a lot of our partners and stuff like that. And I'm talking about Iron Lords. And if you got a chance to see Lord Cognito at one of these events this week, Anime Con, he was there today. You saw Everborn Saga there. He had his stuff there. Now, that was an NDA event, but Cog was there with Lognet doing some more work there. Now, earlier on in the week, we had an NDA event that we went to, and that was Cog and Sovereign. And then Attic had an NDA event that he went to, which was with HP, and that was in California. And then Cog and I had another NDA event before then that me and him went to, and they gave us a ton of information on what's happening and what's going on. So when you're dealing with people that deal with partners, and those partners happen to be Microsoft and Xbox, you kind of get an idea of where they're going, right? And knowing where they're going, you can understand where Asus falls into the program, where MSI falls into the program, where Steam falls in. You notice something that was very important that they didn't do? Not one of those interviews that they talk about did they say Steam name. They always said other storefronts. They named Epic Storefront by name. They named GOG. They named what other storefront? I think it was just those two storefronts. But then they would see Steam there. They did not say Steam's name. I think the deal that they have with Steam is contingent on what Steam is doing with those new Steam Decks that's supposed to come out. Yo, King, thank you for everything, Web Dave, you do for the gaming community. Blessings. Web Dave, you my dude. You already know that. And I got to get on your show. I already told you that. I got to get on your show. So, I owe you that. I owe a lot of people a lot of work. Like, listen, tell Hard Geek I'll be there. All right. I gotta call Hard Geek too. But they never said him by name, and I think that has something to do with those Steam machines or the new Steam Deck 2 or whatever the hell that they're doing. But you notice what I notice? That's who they have as competition in the PC space. Xbox has Steam as competition. Jez said something early on that by Steam putting out that Lenovo Go Steam, the Lenovo Go S, and it ran rings around the Xbox Windows version of the Lenovo, that Steam was eating Xbox's lunch. And the moment that happened, Xbox and Microsoft put a hold on their internal handheld. They put that on hold the same way they put Contraband on hold. Didn't cancel them, either one of those. But they put them on hold to handle what was necessary. What was necessary was this. This was necessary. Asus says the new Xbox gaming features is coming to older Xbox, older Ally models. The most exciting thing about the ROG Xbox Ally handheld, at least for me, isn't that it's an Xbox. Nope, it's the fact that it isn't an Xbox. It's a Windows PC. I bet a teeny tiny one with Microsoft on board is packing a refreshed, streamlined, built Windows that's all about gaming. That's what he cares about. That operating system. Everybody that I spoke to, everybody that I heard from, everybody that's in the know, that's in Germany. Shout out to Paris for doing the Lord's work. You out in Germany, I appreciate you. Shout out to Destin that's out there. Shout out to everybody that made that trip out there. Shout out to the Gaming Circle podcast with Kay Asante and Everborn. Shout out to Kay Asante that's out there. Everybody that made that trip, safe travels, safe flights, coming back home. I'm pretty sure that y'all leaving today or coming back home or you're on your way home. And safe travels to each and every last one of you. Going abroad is nothing is taken for granted. But I appreciate every last one of you guys work, boots on the ground there. Iron Lords will be in Germany next year at Gamescom. We will be in China next year. This year we had to make an executive decision because we thought Japan stood head and shoulders above the rest based off of the fact that we're hearing that Forza Horizon 6 is set in Japan. It's a lot of stuff that we got going on. We have a lot of ties with Sega. Shout out to Sega for all the wonderful work that you've been doing with us, with all the help that you have been given. Shout out to Capcom for giving a ton of help. And I got to reach out to Capcom this week because you do have something that I have to attend. Speaking of PC Gamer, shout out to PC Gamer. You're part of our Omen family. Shout out to Omen, one of our sponsors. This thing here was the biggest thing that made sense. We need to stop worrying about this hardware, and we need to worry about the hardware that's about to drop. And this needs to be a success. It needs to be such a success that everybody is talking about it. You notice in a week where there's nothing but games, the only thing being talked about is Xbox. Xbox in every angle. Now, what did Steam and that Steam Deck have that no other handheld had? When you purchased the game on Steam, before you purchased it, you knew if your game was Steam verified, if your game ran on Steam, if the games was compatible, if when you pick it up, it felt like just immediately a controller. This is one of the things that made sense. You see, the ROG Xbox Ally reveals handheld compatibility program. Now, in this program, it lets you know immediately if the game is fully compatible or partially compatible. And it will have little badges. And they're explaining that they're going to take a bigger deep dive into making sure the compatibility with the games that you have runs on that device without a hitch. They don't want you making a purchase of a game without knowing fully that that game is supported by your new device. I thought that was one of the key things because, listen, when I play with my Steam Deck, that makes sense to me. I don't want no tweaking and twerking. I just want to, when I got Hades 2, I just want to play. I don't want to go into those settings. I don't want to do anything. Now, when it's partially compatible, there's minor tweaking and twerking. And if you're used to that, then fine. It works. Then you can toggle resolution and you can do that. And all those sliders is very snappy. If you saw any of my videos this week that I did, that handheld is very snappy. But that was the main thing that everybody was talking about at Gamescom. Now, you would think at a place where gaming is centric, games take center stage, Sony would make it an effort to be there. Give a direct. What up, live? They would make an effort to be there. They made not one attempt to be present. They gave you a piss poor new trailer of Ghost of Yode, and I told you what Xbox is going to start doing to PlayStation. I told you. Once they knew that their games were successful inside that ecosystem and they were forcing those consumers, if you will, to decide what games they want to purchase based on what is available during certain periods of time, that will force, and knowing that gaming right now is becoming smaller and smaller as we lose 24% of future prospects of gamers, knowing that us, the hardcore, and some of the casuals that are in have limited resources in purchasing, making someone make a decision on a game is tantamount of survival or death. When you can get 100% of the profits in your own platform, you would rather that than get 30%. Now, I told you based off of your super chat, and I do appreciate you for your super chat, that I was going to attack this situation. And it's the end of the era for the PlayStation 5 and affordable video game consoles. We learned during the most important week, whereas E3 is no longer there. Xbox is the lone console manufacturer, game developer, and I must admit, publisher of the year that actually shows up in June to give you what we expect as a tradition. Nintendo shows up as well, gives you a direct, and keeps that tradition going. Sony comes through, dragging ass, and doesn't give effort, right? So where the PlayStation fan base will tell you they shipped 80 million, and stop saying so, because you only shipped 80 million. And if you actually look at the paperwork, you sold 50 something million. And that's commendable. Where the Xbox is at like 38 million sold and 40 something, 41 to 46 million Game Pass subs. Yeah, that's commendable. You've actually done it. Great. 50 million, but you don't have any damn games. Your machine is that. But raising the price during that week, shout out to Fee Marie that said one Xbox Frontline gift membership, and Crazy got that. Crazy G14. I salute you, soldier. Thank you for joining the ranks. And I salute you as well, Fee. I appreciate everything that you do. Members of the lifeblood of the channel, y'all keep the lights on. That's what happens. But during the week, we heard that the PlayStation was raising the price on everything by $50. When these dudes was yelling out, well, PlayStation doesn't need to raise the price because, they're selling, and that's what you do. You lower the price, and that's how you win. That's how you win the generation. Well, technically, you're losing a generation now. The only thing that you did was ship 80 million, and that's not netting you any wins here. Okay? And let me explain why it's not netting you any wins, because this thing here immediately made your stocks drop. Now, remember, I told you to buy Sony stocks because it's cheaper, and it did go up by $4, and it went down by $1.29, but it went back up. And you're playing a delicate balancing act between relevancy and irrelevancy. No games, price raises equals soon you're not going to be relevant. Soon, you're going to find yourself in no man's land. When Nintendo is talking about Kirby and they did a whole direct for Kirby Air Ride, you were nowhere to be found. Then, the information started popping up and you guys talking about Shadows, State of Plays is going to happen. To show what? You don't have anything. When the next news that came out is you canceling your shares, you sold off your shares in Evo. And you're just going to be a sponsor into 2028, and then it's over. Be nice with the one member Xbox Frontline gift membership. I appreciate you, soldier. Thank you so much. Marcus Hobby, DJ Red and Black received that. There's content up there for members that isn't available to the public. And again, members get a chance to watch videos early. You got perks. And also on Frontline Gaming Streams, which is the sister channel, you guys dictate pace. As you can see, this evening, I went over there and I got my win with the Ultimate Warrior yet again. And we eliminated Dip Down as Dip Down didn't do anything. Shout out to Dip Down getting eliminated. But again, it was a fun time with the guys. We were playing Marvel Rivals and doing some other stuff. But the PlayStation has been giving you a cornucopia of bad news. From hearing the PlayStation 5 Pro isn't looking good, to hearing that they're raising the price on all consoles by $50, to also hearing that they no longer control Evo, with also bringing out a fight stick and a new fighting game. That's a black eye all across the boards. PlayStation is down bad, and they're going out sad. You have one game coming out this year. And I told you, be careful for Microsoft, because I told you I trust Satya to do what Satya does. And Satya wants the first piece and the last piece pause and let you live in the middle. They're going to let you live long enough for you to survive a little bit. What I mean by that? Spartan 661 with 5 Xbox Frontline gifted memberships. I salute you, soldier. Skywalker UAV1, NC Ghost of Low Road, Ben Yang, Darian Sledge, and Talking with Bob all receive memberships. I salute you. I am completely humbled. I appreciate you. This is what I do. So, on October 2nd, Ghost of Yode comes out. What did Xbox do? They looked at Battlefield come out with both betas. Did not flinch. Did not retaliate. let EA have their moment in the sun. But turned around after that Ghost of Yode trailer, the new one, with all the blood and all that other stuff, and put the beta, the pre-ordered beta, right? This is the early access beta, from the 2nd to the 5th of October. So immediately, if you're a Call of Duty head, Ghost of Yode means absolutely nothing to you. From the 2nd to the 5th, you will be worrying only about Call of Duty. It will be the most played game during those days. And I think from the 8th to the something else, it's for the open beta. If you stifle the growth of Ghost of Yode in the month of October 2nd, and Sony gets 100% of that, especially digitally, and now they're only getting 30% of Call of Duty sales, and it's going to be in a bucket loads. Remember, Call of Duty sold 80% more on the PlayStation ecosystem. So you know that fan base is waiting for that game. I told you Microsoft is going to start targeting your release dates for your AAA first party titles that you guys call bangers. And if these bangers do not produce on their home court, they're going to be forced to do something for some change immediately. You see, the difference between Xbox and PlayStation is this. Xbox is blending console and PC and cloud gaming with new cross-device library features. Buy and play anywhere. That play anywhere is detrimental to the PlayStation because it directly is an attack on your games. If they have a game, and I want you to hear this because somebody said this to me, I can only play this game in one space. I would not buy the PlayStation because he's a multi-console owner. I would buy the Xbox version because I'm able to play it in multiple places. And he's primarily a PlayStation player, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I own multiple consoles, VRs, all that other stuff. So it's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing to do, right? As a gamer, that's a great thing to do. As a gamer, you should have multiple devices in which you can facilitate your fun. If your finances dictate that, then you do that. Why not, right? That should always be at the forefront of any gamer's mind, especially if you're a techie. We live in an age where everything is accessible if you have the finances. And also, if you're able to maintain a subscription, you have greater access to everything, right? So I maintain a subscription on the PlayStation Plus. I maintain a subscription on the Nintendo and on the Xbox. And that allows my children and myself to have access to everything. Well, he said that he would buy it on Xbox because it affords him the ability to play that game in more places. And he intends on purchasing an Xbox ROG Ally X or an Xbox ROG Ally. Now, I've seen an Xbox ROG Ally in Paris. Shout out to Paris because I was watching your video. That it did perform well. Also to Jez, it also performed well. I do want the one with the MPU in the box because I do want the added advantages that they were talking about as far as the neural processing unit giving us a greater fidelity. Now, I just want to touch back on this real quickly when we talk about the price change in the U.S. on the PlayStation. You want to know how slimy they are? They told you a day before that they was going to raise the price. They told you on the 20th that the 21st, tomorrow, the price is going up. So dudes can run out and go get it, or go pay off or whatever. And I know you're going to say, well, King, Xbox been raised the prices. Xbox gives you value in other places. Play Anywhere, Game Pass. Game Pass is the quintessential gaming service. It's like, what are you doing if you don't have it? I don't care if you're primarily a PlayStation gamer. When all the games that you see is coming out that you look forward to is in Game Pass because it's first party, and that's where it's a no-brainer. Financially, you just got to be smarter with your money. It got to make sense, right? Now, I know a lot of people was in the beginning saying, and we're going to the place now that's going to leave a lot of hurt for you guys, and I apologize for this hurt that I'm about to cause you. If you're a PlayStation person that was screaming from the top of your lungs that Helldivers was never going to show up, and you have Mr. 98% come out and tell you, not only are we going to get Helldivers, that ODST is going to be part of it. You would think that I need to be playing the lotto numbers or something like that, right? You would think that King knows something that nobody else knows. I was laughed, I was ridiculed, I was mocked. I was told that I was lying, that it had never happened. Well, one, it happened. Two, I did it twice. ODST is showing up on the 26th in Helldivers for the Xbox ecosystem. And on that day, we're going to teach you how to play together and how to win this war. Because apparently, Steam can't do it alone. You PlayStation guys were not enough. Now, remember when I told you, y'all didn't purchase this. Y'all did not purchase Helldivers. Steam did. Steam held you afloat. Even after you tried to shaft them with that PlayStation Plus sign, and even when you tried to shaft them and you had to walk it back, Steam still held you up. That still wasn't enough. Imagine when Ghost of Yode doesn't sell. Imagine when that happens. Well, then you can see Ghost of Tsushima going to Xbox. They got to make money. And when one goes, the next will go. All those games that aren't selling there, and Microsoft strategically forcing your hand, because if you don't make the return off investment, how much you think Ghost of Yode costs to make? Even though that they're using reused assets and the game doesn't look as robust as you would like. Let me jump inside this chat over here. I'm in the chat in the Discord. If you want to come in and talk about it, talk about it. You're welcome here with me. And I expect anybody that wants to jump in, and especially if you have the balls to call me a liar, then you need to, well, again, I'm sorry I misgendered you. Maybe you don't have those gonads, right? Maybe you weren't born with those things, but maybe, again, you would like to come in and voice your opinion. Now, I will not be derogatory. I will not curse you, and I will not overtalk you. I would like you to get your point off no matter what, right? Because, again, what matters most is you guys. I'm just a conduit to give you the information. I'm just a conduit to bring to you what I think is going to happen, and I've been 98% right all the time. Now, the thing is, when they don't sell, what happens? Web David, the $2 super chat. Much respect, King David's insight. I trust King. Blessings. Blessings, Whip. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. I truly do. What's the name of my Discord? The Discord is in the chat. Just go to the description and hit the link. It's right there. Go to the description and hit the chat. It's right there. It's right there. The Discord is right there. Here. It's right there. I don't know why you didn't hit that. It's right there. Nobody has a problem jumping in on Fight Night Fridays. Nobody ever has a problem. The link is always in the description. It's available for you guys. Always. You don't have to be a member. Hell, you don't even have to be sub to the channel. You can just jump in. Because at the end of the day, it's about the community. It's about hearing what you got to say, because I'm not right. I'm right in my opinion, right? You're right in your opinion. And maybe your opinion has something valid that I need to listen to. See, a great leader and a great king will always listen to everyone to get the answers, the best suit the stuff. There we go. What's your name? Dab?
Yes, Dab.
What's up, Dab? Talk to me. What do you agree with? What you don't agree with? What do you want to talk about, Dab? Answers.
I agree.
Suit the stuff. There we go. There you go. You in? All right. What's your name? Oh, well, he dropped out. All right. Talk to me, Dab.
Agree that they're gonna have to put more of their games on Xbox and also Switch 2 and have to do day and date with PC. Because
I agree with you.
Because if the first party games are not selling and only the sports games and shooters sell, then what's really left?
Well,
because even if they have a next generation and they have a PS6 that costs $1,500,
I don't think their PlayStation 6 will ever cost $1,500. The Xbox will. The Xbox will cost $1,500. But the PlayStation, and let me be clear. I don't believe that there'll be a PlayStation 6. I believe that there will be a PlayStation Handheld. I think there will be a PlayStation 5 Pro or something like that. I don't believe that there'll be a PlayStation 6, but I could be absolutely wrong, right? That's my 2%. But I'm not saying that they're not in active development of a console. Not saying that. They're looking at more cost-effective measures opposed to what Xbox is trying to do. Xbox is trying to do something that is absolutely different. And I agree with you with day and date on PC. That's necessary. That needs to be done. But that also entails you stretching Nexus thin. But the fact that now Bungie is going to be absorbed into PlayStation, you have a larger support studio with Ben's studio working in the skeleton mode. And from what we hear with Naughty Dog having to do extra lifting, they're making their studios much like Microsoft's functionality with their studios. They're making them more versatile in order to put games on PC day and date, in order to get these ports over to other consoles. Now, to one point that nobody's bringing up, Nintendo purposely gimped everyone without giving them Switch 2 development kits in order to have the lay of the land for at least 6 months to a year. That's why you haven't seen a lot of the Xbox games that we know that should be over there, right? And that's the same thing with the PlayStation games or whatever PlayStation games that would make it over to the Switch 2. They don't have, or they just got the development kits and they got them late. And I thought that's strategic by Nintendo. But I think those, they would play nicer with Xbox based off of the fact that they have made Windows versions and Nixus is the company that will facilitate those games going over. What else do you think?
Oh, okay. On the whole PlayStation Studio, they have a big issue. The problem is like now their games take 7, 8 years to develop, and they barely sell copies.
Yeah.
So you have Ben Studios, which at this point you're gonna have to. So right now the only solution for PlayStation is to either turn Ben Studios or Bluepoint into a porting studio, or otherwise they're gonna have to buy another porting studio
I think that
because
they're,
they're
they're
gonna
not purchasing for a while. I think,
yeah,
th- yeah, I
they're
think,
small.
yeah.
They have small they don't have the size of Xbox
Oh
Studios.
no, no, absolutely not. That thing changed. Remember, it was a time when PlayStation had more studios than Xbox, and the Xbox went and did on this wild spending spree,
Yeah.
and we thought that that couldn't be sustainable because we wasn't seeing the return off of investment and all that other wild, crazy stuff that everybody was saying. But now that we see the true vision of what's going on, making the studios more versatile, this is the reason why they closed the initiative. And I was okay with closing the initiative because if you're not a multifunctional studio that you can't even produce a game that's on your home based console, then you really need to go. A lot of the other studios are more versatile in order to get games onto multiple platforms. If you look at the Coalition, the way that they're moving, if you look at Obsidian, the way that they're able to get their games out the door, especially this, in 2025, I think having 3 titles from Obsidian is insane. It's insane. Colt put that up the other day, and I had to respect what Colt had to say. But I think PlayStation is going to move how PlayStation is going to move. I honestly believe they have a ton of IPs that they can make a boatload of money in order to get those games over. But they can't, and this is the reason why they wanted that executive manager to worry about getting games over to multi-platforms outside of the PlayStation ecosystem in order to extrapolate cash to start funding these games and these projects that are necessary. I think they already have games on Windows. I surmise that these Windows, and the reason why Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is a Play Anywhere title is because I believe that we're getting the Windows version the same way I believe that we got the Final Fantasy 16 Windows version. I think all the games going forward will be Windows versions based off of the fact that the next Xbox will be an Xbox/PC device, which will have Windows heavy, like a Windows Pro, Windows 11 Pro running in the background in game mode. I think that is the best way to go. And I think PlayStation already being familiar, Nixus being familiar with porting their games over to Windows and to the PC, will do a great job in getting those already existing games on the PC over to the Xbox to get fast cash. You just have to place them in proper months and avoid cannibalizing your sales of placing it on a PlayStation, on an Xbox, and it going to somebody's backlog. That's the only
Yeah,
problem.
but also another issue they're gonna have is because they don't have the amount of studios to pump out games to do all these ports, and everything is stretched out,
Right.
and they're having all these other issues. They're dropping Evo. They have all issues across the board. I can see a PS5 handheld because
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
they already know how a PS5 works.
Yeah.
But
That
I don't at this point I don't see a PS6 because a PS6 requires them to make a whole the R&D is gonna probably destroy them, and since they're going multi-plat, they're gonna lose probably all the PlayStation fans.
right.
But what happened to Xbox when a number of people switched to PC is gonna happen to PlayStation. So at that
I
point, it's better not to make a PS6, make a PS5 handheld, and just go way of the Sega and become a third party.
okay. I don't think they're going to become Sega. Sega's full third party. I
Yeah,
always think that they would have some form of hardware. Now, when people hear me say hashtag no PlayStation 6, I'm talking about the device called the PlayStation 6, right? when I'm talking about that handheld from the PlayStation, I honestly believe that handheld is going to come out, and I honestly believe they're going to price it well and it's going to sell like gangbusters. In my opinion, I think that device will come out because I believe that they showed with the Portal that they're able to produce a device that people will purchase if it's properly priced. I think they can make some form of storage in it, and that way you can download 2 or 3 games to it depending on the size of the files, and you can stream to it, and it will replace what the Portal is doing. I thought the Portal sold well. I think the next handheld will sell well, and I think they can extend the life. Now, the white papers that I had early on when I was explaining to people that PlayStation targeted 2028 2029 for the PlayStation 6, changing conditions can change anybody's trajectory. Nobody could have predicted a year ago where Xbox will be, what Xbox is doing, and what Xbox is going to do. But right now, they're in a way different position than they were a year ago. A year ago, people were jumping ship and leaving. I don't think anybody leaves the PlayStation ecosystem. I think you add on. Think about it this way. If PlayStation really wants to get more money, that they will make their app that you're able to purchase from their app, right? And you could take that app and place that app on the Xbox handheld or the Xbox device, and that way, Xbox owners is directly purchasing from Sony themselves. I believe that they're working on it because they were working on the app. Remember when that ad went up and they were working on logistics for the PlayStation app to purchase in a different storefront? I think that's happening. I think Xbox is doing that as well. I think Xbox sees PlayStation as a cow. Like a farmer sees his livestock, something that they can milk, take away resources, and use them until they're all used up. See,
just like Windows does with their laptop partners like
yes,
Dell and whatever.
yes, they see them as the middleman. They ship 80 million. 80 million is nothing to sniff at. Like 80 million, 50 something sold, but 80 million potential customers is greater than the 30 something, 38 million that you have. But added on top, you guys can actually make some serious bread, and they realize that the PlayStation is a resource. I believe that these two is working together in collaborations, i.e. the 26th of this month, you have Gears of War dropping, you have Helldivers. You saw them holding hands at the end of Helldivers, signifying a bonding unity that is going forward. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but a year ago, no one would have told you that would have been true, but me telling you that Helldivers was going to be dropping on Xbox next year, and here we are. And just a couple of weeks before they announced that ODST would be there, I told people that will be to make the most sense, and that happens. But I want to thank everybody for showing up to Xbox Frontline News, where we talk games and anybody's able to join the Discord. I want to give a shout out to Dab for coming on and sharing his opinions. Dab could have came in and had various different opinions on anything, and there's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion. It's just being able to have a voice. Go ahead, sir.
Do you think when the next Xbox launches, and let's say hypothetically, Phil Spencer comes out or Sarah Bond, that say no online paywall, do you think PlayStation will follow?
I don't think they ever give up that money. But once you go to see, this is the bigger problem. The bigger problem is once they go to the PC and embrace the PC, they're going to have to find a way to subsidize that loss of income from online. PC guys don't pay for online, right? So you're going to have to find a way to subsidize it. Do you subsidize it with adding ads? Do people fight back against that? Because they've been talking about adding tier ads to Game Pass. They need more people in Game Pass. If Game Pass was at 50 million, I honestly think you would hear about them dropping the online a lot faster. I think they're going to stall it as much as possible until the console comes out. But that's going to be the mic drop moment when they tell you you don't have to pay for online, but they're going to probably roll online into Ultimate, right? If you do, you can play Xbox and you can have access to it with your free to play and all this other stuff. But if you want to have access to online and day ones and all this other stuff is inside Game Pass Ultimate. I think that's the way they get around it. I think that's the way they word it. But for the most part, I think you will have free online at some point, to your point. Will it be popular? I don't know. Will it force PlayStation to do anything else? As we've seen right now, the only person that can't be forced to do anything is Nintendo. Until these two dominate in such a fashion, I think Grand Theft Auto changes the equation with Nintendo if Nintendo starts to lose popularity with these two handhelds in the wild. When Xbox brings out their home base handheld device that is around $500 and the PlayStation does the same thing for a $400 to $500 device, a handheld, and Nintendo is forced to do some stuff, I think that's when we see what Nintendo is truly made of. I think we find out then. But until that point, Nintendo's going to rule the roost when it comes to their exclusives. PlayStation doesn't have the gumption any longer to stay in the fight, so they're going to start taking their first parties and placing it. And we already seen Xbox has no red lines, and they're going to place their games everywhere and anywhere. And with ODST going to PlayStation in the form of Helldivers 2, know that in October, new information is going to come out about about Halo. Don't be shocked with what I told you with an ODST remake being dropped day one on the PlayStation and on Xbox. But again, this is Xbox Frontline News. I want to thank Dab for coming through, giving his opinion. Fantastic stuff as always. Everybody is welcome. Somebody else jumped in, but they jumped out. And listen, it's always in the description. This is not a bait and switch here. Other people run from the conversation and run from the smoke. Other people sit there and talk about men all day long. I got no time for it. I talk about games. I talk about what's going on in the industry. And I talk about the overall health of Xbox. And right now, we're looking fantastic. I told dudes before, the future with Xbox is bright. And right now, PlayStation is looking a little weak. And I'm going to tell you, champ, get up off the mat. You got punched in the face. Your tooth is hanging out your head. Get it together. Get it together, champ. You're looking shaky out there. I don't know what to do. But I'm going to tell you dudes like I always do. Go where players play and winners win. And try to play the Game Pass. And no dip down. I'm not going to cut it off right now. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to hit the button. I want to tell y'all guys good night. And have a blessed weekend. Tomorrow, 9 to 10 hours, Iron Lords Podcast.